What's up? It's Sad Zilla with Zilla Mode yet again, and today we're going to be talking about something that's a little bit more personal. We're going to be looking at my history, my own history, because I find that some of the best advice and direction that I can get is hearing other people's stories and kind of like what worked for them, and then using pieces of that to kind of navigate what I need to do in my own career to kind of grow a fan base. So let's get into it. With some context, how I had started originally was I was producing all of my stuff. I have been producing since I was a teenager, and it wasn't until I was in my late 20s that I really started diving into doing my own vocals on my beats and stuff. And so I had an old project called Shinigama. I actually had a group of artists that I would work with in my local scene that we just kind of like every single day we went to my house and we worked on music. I probably produced and released over 100 tracks in 1 year, just including everybody's stuff, including mine. And it was pretty crazy. It was a lot of work, and I learned a lot doing that, but it didn't really go anywhere. It's not even just the fact that I didn't have the experience marketing my music, because I did a lot of marketing my music, but it just wasn't directed in the right place. And I realized that because there was another artist at the time named Shinigami that was pretty similar to what I was trying to do vocally and creatively, and so it just didn't really work out because every single time you would look up my name, it would either bring up him or it would bring up something that has to do with Death Note, an anime that uses the name Shinigami. So it was really hard to get my music out there. So maybe that's one of the things that you should look at yourself, like, is my name kind of keeping me from, being found? Is it hard to spell? Is it something that is very popular that in search results, you get a lot of different options that is not your music. Your music is not the first thing that pops up. This can really hinder your reach. And so yeah, that's just something to think about from my own experience, but that's not the point of this video. We're gonna get into Sad Zilla next, and that's really where things start really picking up. So after about 2, maybe almost 3 years of doing Shinigama, I decided, I need a change. There's something that is just missing from this. I was being very stubborn and not changing my name for a very long time because I was like, well, I'll just become bigger than him. And, you can ignorantly think that, you will be bigger than that person. Let's say you have a name that another popular artist has, and you're just like, well, I'll just be bigger than them. You're just working handicapped, right? And so that was my case, and I had to change my name eventually, and one of the first songs that I ever wrote under Shinigama was a song called Sad Zilla. It's kind of funny because one of my friends, shout out Kid Carrillo, another artist that I work with pretty frequently, he used to call me Sad Zilla all the time. He didn't even call me Shinigama or Gama or whatever, or Shinny. He would call me Sad Zilla because he just really liked that song. It was a song that he eventually got on as well. And so I decided, you know what, that's actually a really cool name, because one of the things that I loved growing up as a kid was Godzilla and kaiju movies, and so I took that inspiration, and then also at the same time I was making a lot of sad boy kind of music, a lot of emo trap music, and that's how I started out. I started out making emo trap music as Sad Zilla, and one of the decisions that I ended up going with was not using my own produced beats. I was actually going to start working with other producers, and this kind of freed up my creative ability because I was using a lot of my creative juices to write these beats, and they would get more and more and more extreme. I was really making like EDM music at some point, and it just was becoming kind of ridiculous. So working with another producer, I could kind of hone in a sound, and I could, more importantly, focus on my writing. So I was able to focus on my writing and really just write some good songs, right? And so that's how Sad Zilla was kind of born. And it wasn't until August of that year, because I started in January, it wasn't until August that I really started making moves in the marketing department. Now, one of the things in the branding and marketing department that I kind of did with Sad Zilla that I didn't do with Shinigama was I decided to make a character. I wanted something that was distinct and specific to my style at that time. And so I had an inspiration. It came to me, I thought about like kids wearing like you know, like the hoodie with like the spikes and everything that looks like a dinosaur. And I was like, what if I had that, but it was like green and it was like playing off of Godzilla, but it was just me, right? And then I just had the hoodie. So I went on Fiverr and I found an artist that made a lot of chibi art. Like, it's like basically cute little kid type, you know, anime art, and I had them design me this character with, you know, references that I gave them, like certain shoes or pants, or, you know, like what the hoodie should look like, what I should look like. They got me that design for like $30, and I can use it as freely as I want to, right? And so that's what's really cool about my branding, is now I have this character that I can kind of use and grow from that point on, and just use for all my marketing stuff. And so that really helped me to kind of define something about my brand, because before I didn't really have anything except for maybe a logo. And so now this kind of opened up a lot of different realms of being able to use this character and use the color palettes and use all this stuff to kind of promote my stuff. Because my branding was kind of like in this anime style, I used a lot of visual content that had to do with like anime. So like, say I had a song that was, you know, sad or whatever, maybe I would take a video clip of an anime character crying or something like that, and then throw my music onto it, and then post that on Instagram, and then like put hashtags like sad anime music, you know, sad music, etc. Now, I had dabbled in, you know, doing anime stuff with my music before, because I do love anime and I love making songs about things in pop culture, and, you know, basically I make nerdcore music essentially. So I had dabbled in that. I hadn't been really in a situation where I would full send that type of marketing approach until Zilla. So investment wise, the kind of money that I would put into Zilla in the beginning, one of the things that I did was actually do Facebook ads. That's where I started off, and basically what I did is I took anime clips and I put my music over it, and it actually worked out pretty well. The only thing is that return on investment, I really didn't get too much. So like, for example, basically after I started doing the Facebook ads and stuff like that, I was getting like 100 streams a day, something like that, on this song. And that was really just because I was putting a lot of money into those ads. It wasn't like crazy, but we're talking like $200 to $300 into these ads. And the thing is that with Facebook ads, and I've talked about this in another video, is that they just don't work that well. If you scroll past a video on Facebook, that counts as a view. So the interaction was very skewed and misunderstood, and I really wasn't getting that ROI that I would really like to get on an advertisement like that. And so that was the only problem with that, and I kind of moved away from that for a little bit. I still did advertisements, but then I kind of moved on to Instagram, and that's where I started using Instagram ads for Zilla later on in about August. So in August, that's actually also when I started working with other producers. Before, I was working with my same production, like my own production before, but in August I went to the basics. I started just working with different producers and making this sad emo trap type music. One of the things that I did was I contacted a YouTube channel called Biteki, and they were really known in the AMV community for posting a lot of sad music. So Biteki has a website where you can submit your music, and if he accepts it, he charges like a small fee. I think it was at the time like $100 or $200 to get onto his YouTube channel. He would make an AMV edit of your song, and you would put the lyrics on there, and it was pretty cool. It actually got me a lot of new listeners, and we're talking like videos that would get like 30,000 views to 40,000 to 50,000 views based on how popular it was at the time. And I gained a lot of followers from this because it was also a playlist as well, and it just really worked out. You know, I connected with a community of listeners, people who liked that style of music, and then they became associated with my name. Like, they started paying attention to me and my name. Every single time that I was uploaded onto that channel, they would be like, oh, it's another Zilla track. I know who Zilla is. I like that other track that he did on Biteki. So if you find a community of listeners like that, and you can kind of, you know, get on there and get your name and brand out there, it actually really works out very well. So on top of that, I started doing Instagram ads as well. And on the Instagram ads, basically what I would do is I would take some kind of anime clip that kind of catches your eye, and then I would put some kind of visualizer, and then I would put my music on top of it, and then I would actually do Instagram ads. I put money into these Instagram ads for songs that eventually like really popped off. One of the things that I did, and this probably doesn't work anymore as well, but back then Mexico had a very large audience on Spotify, but they didn't really have that expensive of advertisements, so you could advertise to them pretty cheap. So what I would do is I would actually have all my advertisements direct towards Mexico, and the audience in Mexico would actually react very well to my music. There was actually a lot of cases where people were uploading my music with Spanish subtitles, right? So this was a really cool idea at the time, and like I wish it worked that same way now, but I think it's still a lot more expensive. But back then it really worked out very well, and I had to learn a lot of Spanish to communicate with the fans that were coming in. But it really worked to my advantage. I gained a lot of followers from that. A lot of streams came from that. One of my songs called Her became my top song, and it was getting at one point 1,000 streams a day. So it was really cool to kind of see that actually work out for me. Now, after all of this, I got up to about 10,000 monthly listeners, which the most that I had ever had under Shinigami was maybe close to 1,000. It was hard to even get 1,000 plays on one song, let alone, you know, thousands of monthly listeners. So it was pretty life-changing. I was like, wow, I can actually really do this. This is what I was missing. I was missing that consistent sound. I was missing, you know, a community of listeners that I could, you know, kind of market towards. I was missing, you know, the right investment in ads or whatever, you know, other opportunities like the YouTube channel, right? And so, you know, all these things kind of came together and got me to that 10,000 monthly listeners and beyond. And that about wraps up the first stage of Sad Zilla. I want to make this kind of a small series, like my journey to get to 250,000 monthly listeners. And I just kind of wanted to start with the basics, like how did I start off? How did I start getting, you know, listeners and everything, to kind of give you guys that insight and, you know, help you guys on your own journey. But that about wraps this video up. I hope that you guys got a lot of value out of this. I enjoy making these videos. I'm still trying to do these every single day. Sometimes they're posted a little bit later than others, and that's just because, you know, my schedule with, you know, having my kid and my fiance and everything, and making time for them as well as doing music, just kind of, you know, it becomes harder and harder to do. But I'm trying to make it my job to at least get you guys a new video every single day, except for the weekends. And you guys have supported me like more than I could ever had hoped for, so I really appreciate you guys. Continue to comment in these videos, comment down below. It helps me out so much. Like, I don't even care if it's just like, hey, like the video, or, you know, you have a question, I will answer, and I will give lengthy responses. It really helps me out in the algorithm on YouTube. Same thing with liking and subscribing to this video. Like, a lot of this stuff is just stuff that I tell you from my own experience, and, you know, there's only so much content that I can make, you know, of my own experience. And so, like, let's, you know, to make the most out of this, right? I really appreciate you guys helping me out on that front, and thank you guys for all the new subscribers that have found my channel. I really do appreciate you guys. But anyway, like I said, like and subscribe down below. Click the bell icon to get notified whenever I drop videos just like this. And you have just went into Zilla mode. I am Sad Zilla. Zilla out.